Welcome to Beve with Benn, episode 84. Yes, I'm back with some consistency, just like my training. But anyway, beer of choice, the Range Dream. It's a Hazy IPA, a very, very nice drop. I did purchase this to take down to the mountains this weekend to give to Colin because he can't seem to find any beers that are from the Range Brewery. So I was gifting them to him, but I ended up having one myself. So I might have to post him down a couple anyway, but there we go. That sets the scene for this week, which was meant to be 6 Foot Track weekend, but obviously on being on Crown lands, the New South Wales government decided to close 6 Foot Track a day before the race, or 2 nights before the race. So unfortunately 6 Foot Track had to be cancelled. Good to see a lot of people running though, and enjoying the mountains outside of the 6 Foot Track, and a few that got some good training in and got some long runs in locally. But we'll go through the usual segments: training talk, going through Strava, training peaks for what's ahead. We've got a couple of races coming up at the end of the month. So you got Buffalo, then there's Gerbilani, we got Ridgy, Didge, and then getting closer to the UTA. We've got a few things happening this month as well. This weekend, so Lara Landells is holding her running clinic on Sunday, so I'll go through those details soon. Also, there is the SNL camp coming up on the first week of April, and we're going to discuss a little bit about training and what's coming up, and talking about heart rate and training zones. All right, well, let's get into last week's training for me and the group. So Mondays as standard is the Monday night strength session. So doing getting on the sliders to start with this week. So doing some slider exercises and doing a couple of different circuits around hemi activation, quad, glute, and a little bit of calves and hip flexors. I also then just went out for a bit of a jog, listening to the Inside Running podcast, and just 6k 5:07 pace, nice and cruisy, nice and easy, just making sure my heart rate was sitting between 120 and 130. But felt good. The days are ending quicker, so it was quite dark by the time I finished the run. I didn't start the run till 10 to 8. Then into SNL Tuesdays in Lambton. It's a good group. Again, continuing on that fartlek style. So it was a Moose's fartlek, which was 3 minutes at half marathon pace, 1 minute float, 1 minute just hard at say like 5k pace, and 1 minute float times 5. So just touching on those upper thresholds, and then keeping a nice tempo in the middle as well. So changing through gears, just getting above, increasing your heart rate and dropping back down. So up and over under threshold. So a good set, and being continuous as well is good for your aerobic system and building up your thresholds. So that was the Tuesday morning, and Tuesday afternoon, same session, Moose's fartlek. It was a pretty solid workout. Everyone did well. Nothing different to the morning as far as being 3:1991. But I was sort of just getting back into things. So and obviously thinking that I had 6 Foot Track wasn't going too hard, but basically averaged the 3 minutes for 4 minutes, the floating at 4:40, hard was 3:45, and floating at 4:40, and was just pretty much sticking between that, besides having to slow down a little bit and just running with different people. But 4 minutes, 4:40, 3:45, and 4:40. So as far as the floats, not trying to keep the floats only being a minute. So just trying to keeping it at a nice comfortable pace. Wednesday morning, just did the gym session, just a strength session, jumped in with the crew and did that. So it was just some glute and hammy activation, did some different exercises, activating the quads and the glutes in different ways, and some more calf and hip flexor strengthening, and a hemi circuit to finish. That was it for the Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon was Foot Motion Maitland social run. It was the Maitland Park loop, which is about 7.5k, and then I did the hospital loop solo, which is about 5k. So 13k, 5:16 pace, keeping it nice and cruisy and comfortable. Really good turnout again. We had rain for half of it, so yeah, the Alfred cyclone was getting closer and closer and bringing the weather everywhere. So yeah, so nice cruisy run, but got a little bit wet. All right, on to the trail session in the morning. It was a little bit light on in the morning. There's a few people sleeping in, a few people obviously tapering for 6 foot, and a few people just being away. But yeah, so it was hilly tempo. So the circuit's about 1.3k. It's a nice steady climb up for about just off about 800 meters, and then you get a good downhill for the rest of it. So we did 4 reps of those. Really good session just to get the legs pumping, so you're getting really lactic by the time you hit the top before you hit the downhill, and then you're just focusing on getting that leg speed, getting the legs rolling underneath the hill, and it's a quite sort of technical hill going down as well. So really good training for the legs. So that was Thursday morning. Thursday night, same session. Instead, we did 5 to 6 reps, so it was a little bit longer. Obviously, the afternoon, not everyone's having to rush off to work too much, so we're able to get a train for a little bit longer. But yeah, 5 to 6 loops, and the same thing. I kept it pretty comfortable. I only sort of did three of the reps that were sort of moderate effort, but obviously bearing in mind we had 6 foot, and then got back to the car after the session, found out 6 foot had been cancelled. So wish I had have actually pushed the session, but maybe not, because I thought, well, I could always have just a harder session on the Saturday anyway. But that was the session for Thursday night. Really good turnout, and lots of crowns and PRs going on both the Thursday morning and the Thursday night. I think Ange took the crown for the females, I think, in the morning. I'm not sure about if she was able to hold on in the afternoon, but yeah, Craig Story got the crown in the afternoon. Surprise, surprise. All right, so being cancelled 6 foot, and I was just going to work as planned during the day, so I just went for a 6.5k run, just 5-10 pace, cruisy around Lambton, listening to another podcast. But what do you do? Just turned it over. Then late in the afternoon had the Future Stars, so just took them down the park. We did some hill sprints, did some hilly circuits and some drills. They've got their cross country coming up soon, so just sort of training on undulation and working on their sprints and speed work as well. All right. Newey Park run on the Saturday morning. I didn't go down the mountains, and Nicole wanted me to join her for park run. Not that I ran with her much, only the last sort of K. But yeah, I ended up running with Linda. Kept it nice and cruisy. 4:30, pretty much sat on 4:30 pace for the 5k, and then I jogged out and back with Nicole. But yeah, 6.5k, averaging just about 5 minute pace. But I don't even know my time for park run. It would have been about 23 minutes, I think, whatever 4:30 pace works out to be. But yeah, it was raining. Yeah, raining. It was a little bit sloshy on the Maitland Park loop, but it was fine. And then on to my session for Saturday. Obviously starting a little bit late because I did park run, so I already had 6.5k's on my legs. But I went and did 33k, which is the Curramong loop. So you start at Mount Fork Road, all the way up to Slippery Creek Road, down through Slippery Creek into Martinsville, and then all the way back around through Currumbong and back to Mount Fork Road. So I think it's about just less than 700 metres of elevation. Obviously you got Mount Fork Road, good solid 6k climb, and then it was quite very slippery going down Slippery Creek Road, which is hence the name. But yeah, it was quite slippery going through there, so it still got my legs turning over fairly well, but had to watch my footing and made sure I was aggressive and attacking the descent, so I wasn't going to be falling backwards or slipping over. So but yeah, it was quite a little challenging through that section, and then just tried to hold nice and strong along the road and the finishing section. Wanted to sort of, obviously it wasn't racing, and I do find it hard sometimes if I'm not racing to try and really push too hard, but got a little bit uncomfortable towards towards the end, but it was just trying to hold a solid pace. Felt pretty good going up Mount Fork Road, just keeping it steady. But yeah, I was quite happy with the 33k. Was my fastest time on the loop as well, but it was about 2 hours 40 for the 33k. And then I went into some hill reps. So obviously I didn't get the climbing like I would have in 6 foot, but ended up going and doing on Mount Fork Road, doing five hill repeats. So it was a 10-minute hill, 8-minute hill, 6-minute hill, 4-minute hill, 2-minute hill. So about finishing up with another 9k. Felt pretty good. My legs were getting pretty tired by the end of it. I was starting to get a little bit sore, especially on the downhill, but I think I was just getting I think 1 or 2 of the longer reps I got a little bit lazy running down the hill. So for the rest of it, I just made sure I was running efficiently down the hill and was fine. But yeah, that was almost a 50k day, so about 47k. So good time on feet, good training, and pretty much got the same sort of Ks I would have done for 6 foot, but probably maybe not just as hard of an effort as I would have probably pushed in a race. And then on to Sunday morning. Sunday we met the group out at Sugarloaf, and we did about between 20 and 25k. It was starting on Archie Road, going all the way up, getting all the elevation done, so going out by probably 12k, 70 minutes, and then coming back and then doing a repeat of a couple of the hills at the end, so to get the elevation up. And just so that was a good session overall. I did 24k I think, so yeah, still having a solid session after Sunday. I was a little bit fatigued, but yeah, just kept it nice and controlled and steady. Didn't push the hills at all because I'd already done that on the Saturday. Just more or less got time on the feet. And then in the afternoon I just went for a 5 or almost 6k jog. Just did my usual loop around Lambton, which was about 5.5k, just at 5:13 pace. My legs didn't feel too bad actually. I was thought I was going to be a little bit sorer, but was okay. And then I just finished off and just did a couple little hill strides, just 10 to 12 seconds times 5, just up the street near my house. I've been it's only been the last sort of 2-3 weeks that I've actually started to put strides back in some of my easy runs. I've just been finding that I've been thinking about doing it but just never do it, and then I'm just like, before, there's just up the road from my house there is a nice steep little hill, or actually running back to my place from Lambton Park, it's all uphill anyway, but why not make the most of it? So just gonna start adding in some hill strides when I do my easy Lambton loops. Just to touch on that anaerobic zone, and just to work on efficiency running up the hill, my striding out a little bit, working on my running technique and that sort of thing. So just adding those little things in, and that was my week. So, and 140.2 Ks, about 15 hours, just short of 3,000 meters of climbing. So starting to build back, starting to get back up there. I haven't really had much downtime from Tarawera, which is either going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll probably now just build up now for UTA. So I'll probably be keeping, I find that 130k is fairly easy for me anyway to maintain, so I will probably start to jump up the Ks a little bit more in the next few weeks, but I'd say this coming week will be very similar to the sort of mileage that I had this week. But might try and get a little bit more elevation, but we'll see what lies ahead. All right, well, speaking of what lies ahead, let's talk about training. So Monday, standard strength session at the gym. Tuesday is another fartlek. It is 3-2-1 times 5, so it's just a variation. There'll be a 1 minute float between each, so your 3-minute pace will be sort of at your hour threshold, or closer, or between that and your 21k half marathon pace. Just a minute jog, and then it'll be 2 minutes at 10k pace, and then 1 minute at 5k pace times 5. So a very similar session to what we had on last week, just to keep touching on those zones and just working on the same sort of theme before we start building into bigger reps. So that'll be Tuesday for Lambton and Maitland, and then Wednesday standard strength session in the morning, and it will be just an easy aerobic jog for most, anywhere from half an hour to an hour, either at Newcastle or Maitland, wherever you will be. And Thursday morning, and Thursday night is going to be the shaft powerline loop. So starting at the top of the shaft and a nice technical downhill through single track. So you're getting single track for 3/4 of the session, and then you got a nice climb at the end, so your quads are burning by the time you get to the top. So trying to real focus on your leg turnover through the single track and the descending, so small fast feet, small fast steps, really working on your balance and your coordination. So just trying to really work your legs a lot faster through, so you're sort of being a little bit more aggressive, so you're attacking it, because if you do lengthen your stride and you're sort of leaning back, that back leg takes a lot more time to swing around to then get your footing, where if you're slipping backward, you're overstriding, you're leaning backwards and you do slip, then it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder for your body to counterbalance and restabilize yourself. But if you are holding tall and sort of leaning a little bit forward and attacking the stride and keeping your feet landing underneath your hips, your leg has less work, your back leg has less work to do, and you're able to replant and follow and counterbalance your body a lot easier and a lot better. So through that section, really focus on small steps, fast feet, and really trying to be a little bit more aggressive and don't lean back, so you can get better footing and counterbalance your body. Your body will automatically balance yourself out. So that'll be Thursday morning and Thursday night. Friday, some will have just an aerobic run, some will just have the like a foam rolling release session. Otherwise, depending on your Saturday and your Friday, you might have a long run. Saturday, just a nice aerobic run. Some will have a bit of a tempo in there as well, again depending on what you're training for. But yeah, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And on Sunday is the run clinic. So Sunday morning we'll be starting at 6 o'clock, so nice and early, and it'll be a 2-hour run in Glenrock. So there'll be like a 9k loop into a 5k loop. So depending on obviously how fast you are, or depending on how much you're going to get in that session for the 2 hours, but it'll be a nice sort of easy session for the 9k loop. And then the 5k will be a little bit more at a tempo pace, so sort of pushing the 5k a little bit. But we'll also discuss a couple of little things just to think about as far as form and technique, breathing, heart rate, that sort of stuff, just so just giving you a little cues to focus on, to then when we get to the run clinic at 9 o'clock to sort of work out, to sort of think back and things that you can pick up on, things that you can work on. So that is this week coming. Just to touching on the next couple of weeks. So your Thursdays, you're going to start increasing a little bit. So the hills are going to be either a little bit steeper or a little bit longer. The reps might be a little bit longer. So that'll just, each Thursday, that'll just steadily increase and pick up. Same with the Tuesday, the speed work. So we're going to probably start out shorter. So anywhere from 70 seconds to 90 seconds, or even 2 minutes, just depending on how around 400 meter reps. So then that'll be only a 75-second recover between those, but just working at 400, like anywhere between 70 seconds to 2 minutes. And then similar to that, will get bigger between 400s and Ks, and then you get into 800 meter reps, and then it'll be more of a descending set, and then up to 1K, 1 mile, 2K reps. Sundays will be, so Sundays, obviously this Sunday coming, already discussed. Then we're going to be hitting some long hills, getting some long ascending, long descending as well. So it'll be a couple of repeats on some hills. And over the next 2 Sundays, so you get some nice long climbs in there, with some steady running as well, just to work on your upper thresholds. And then that will lead us perfectly into the camp. So you'll be building the next couple of weeks, and then if you are going to do the Ridgy Didge trail race as a training run, then you can just start implementing that sort of stuff to sort of test your threshold, test your heart rate over racing, and different form and technique on the stuff that you would have picked up from the running clinic, where we'll be hitting the mountains from the Friday to the Sunday. So the Saturday will just be anywhere from 10 to 15k. The Friday will be anywhere from 10 to 15k, just on some of the course, but it'll be just nothing too hard. Then obviously Ridgy will be out at Lithgow. Now we'll carpool and work out that sort of stuff as well. So that'll be anywhere between 13k, 20k, 30k, 40k, and 50k. And the Sunday will be another long run as well. So reach out to me, and I know a few people have already asked me what sort of distance and what race they should pick and go for. So just depending on what race you're doing, depending on where you are in your training, and that's going to, or what you're coming off from as well. So I wouldn't be if you're not used to running back to back 3-4 hours at a time, I'd just be wary of that. So just ask me and we can discuss what the best plan of attack is going to be for that. That's basically going to be the month of March. Getting into, the second week of March already. So that'll be the breakdown for March. So reach out if you have any more questions about that. But if you need adjustments or any changes to your plan or your program, please just let me know. Just go from there. All right. Okay. So where are we? So there is, have had a couple of questions in regards to heart rate and understanding your zones. If you want something more specific, please reach out. But it always comes down to what you're using to track your heart rate as well. So some watches lately, the newer sort of watches, they've been pretty good. Normally my rule of thumb is adding or subtracting 20, depending on if you're looking at your heart rate and you see it at 170 and you go, actually I feel like I'm working, but I don't really think I'm working that hard, then I'd sort of say it might be about 150. But heart rate is always very variable, depending on caffeine, depending on your sleep, your recovery, if you're getting sick, or all those sort of things. So you sort of have to have a bit of an open mind when you are trying to judge your heart rate. Obviously it's going to depend when you are using your heart rate. You just need to sort of work out and work out and base your zones on a percentage of your maximal heart rate. So I mean the basic calculation for you working out your max heart rate is 220 minus your age, and then that will give you sort of your maximum heart rate. So yeah. Shoot, sorry, my phone is going off. All right, back, sorry. But yeah, so for instance, 220 for me is 178. But if to get a more accurate approach, then you do a maximal heart rate test, either like a sprinting interval with a heart rate monitor, that sort of thing. So going through, like if you're talking zone 1, talking your recovery, it is 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. So this is just going to be purely for recovery. You're using no carbohydrates for this, so you're going to be burning fat, using this for warm-ups, cool-downs. It's very easy, very relaxed. Your zone 2, which has been quite popular lately, and it is very good to build your endurance base. So that's at 60-70% of your maximal heart rate. So this is building your aerobic base, so that does help your fat metabolization as well. So it should be comfortable. You still should be able to hold a conversation. So conversational pace, very comfortable, still relaxed, but not as relaxed as a recovery. Zone 3 is more so your tempo, so 70-80%. So this improves your anaerobic fitness, increases your lactic threshold as well. So this should be moderate, harder breathing. Still should be able to sort of hold a conversation, but it would be a lot hard to talk continuously. And then obviously you got your threshold hard zone 4, which is 80-90%, which increases your speed, your endurance, and your lactic threshold. So hard, difficult to talk. And zone 5 is your max effort, so 90 to 100%. peak performance, anaerobic capacity, so sprinting near max effort. So if you're looking at your zones and using it in your training, so your base training, which is zone 2, so most of your training should be spent 60-80% time in zone 2 anaerobic efficiency. Your speed and threshold training, which is zone 3 and 4, using for your tempos, your intervals, hill work to improve your performance. So that's where you're looking at touching that on, say, 2, maybe 3 times a week, depending on your level. But yeah, obviously that's when you're looking at your Tuesdays and your Thursdays, and possibly sometimes either your Saturdays or Sundays. High intensity, so short max bursts, anaerobic power and speed. Yes, us as endurance athletes don't really touch on this too much, but it is good to work on. So that might be working in different strength sessions, looking at with some of the sessions that we do on a Tuesday and Thursday. You might touch on those as well. Sometimes on, and also if you're doing strides, hill sprints, that sort of stuff is when you can work on that. I will talk through a couple of athletes and talk about some of the program about adding in some stairs and adding in some of this stuff into their training as well. But that's how to use your heart rate zones. With your heart rate, as I mentioned about wrist-based heart rates with your watch, it's convenient, but it can be a little bit less accurate. Chest strap is more precise, so using your whether you got a heart strap, but I do use the bicep, the Coros arm bicep heart rate monitor. I've started using that because I've found that I just found the chest to be a little bit uncomfortable, and then if I couldn't really use it when I was doing trial sessions because it just got annoying with wearing a pack and that sort of stuff, and it was always sort of adjusting it. So I did get the Coros bicep arm heart rate monitor, and I find that's works a lot better. So and picks it up very accurately as well. I have mentioned, you can go back to previous podcasts and other blogs that I've talked about using power as well. But for zone 2, the most effective way to build your endurance, improve your fat metabolization. Also, it increases your aerobic efficiency as well, so your running economy. So the key is to run slow enough that you're staying within that 60 to 70% of your maximal heart rate, even if it feels too easy, which is obviously good, then you're getting fitter. So obviously working on that 220 minus your age, and then calculating that 60% of what that zone 2 range will be. So for an example, for someone that is 30, which most of us are probably a little bit older than anyway, but so it's just 220 minus 30, which is 190 beats. So then 60-70% of zone 2 is 114 to 133. For more accuracy, you can obviously do a lab test or a field test with a heart rate monitor for a more accurate, but that's rough, an example of how you can do it. So it's just all right. So so again, just zone 2 training. So again, it has to be conversational pace, using your heart rate monitor. Expect to slow down, walk if needed, especially on the hills. Training for long, so if you're training for long durations, it works best. So anywhere from 45 minutes to 90 minutes, and you just have to be patient with it as well. So improvements do come over time, but you have to be strict and stick to it and build. Like I know that when you come off a race and you sort of start to get back into things, and you get to like 2-3 weeks into your block, and you're still not feeling like nothing's comfortable, or you don't feel like you're improving, and then a week later you start to feel that time, you start to see the improvements, and you start to feel the gains and feel better. So that's mostly, we discuss all that through the plan anyway. But again, the common mistakes is running too fast, ignoring hills, and being impatient. So you want to look at the benefits. So increasing your mitochondrial effect, so you better endurance, improves fat burning capabilities, strengthens your heart without excessive strain, and builds a stronger aerobic base to run faster later. Now, if you want to look at how training in zone 3 and working on being more efficient, then that is when it's 78% of your max heart rate effort. So it's a moderate intensity effort. Also, where we said about what you should be for 20% of your training, which is your tempo, lactic threshold aerobic training. So again, by that would be, if it's a 30-year-old, it's 190, and then your zone 3 is 70 to 80% of that, which would be up to about 150 beats. So looking at training zone 3 efficiently, so you're running at a comfortable hard pace, harder than what an easy run would be able to sustain. To work on your heart rate and to help keep your heart rate nice and controlled, really focus on your breathing. So this is when I know a lot of people struggle to breathe through their nose, but breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, keeping it nice and relaxed, and just getting deeper oxygen, getting more oxygen into your blood. That's going to obviously keep your heart rate under control a little bit better as well, but just really focusing on your breathing to keep yourself nice, controlled and relaxed. Again, using a heart rate monitor. Focus on consistency. So it should be, it's going to be structured in your training, and you're going to feel like you'll be progressing through that as well. So doing, it could be longer reps at 2K, 3K. Generally, when they are a little shorter, like your 400, you're probably touching on more zone 4. But when you're doing like 2K reps on hills or longer on your long runs, when you're doing specific sets, hilly loops and stuff like that, then you're looking at anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes. And then, or you could be looking at doing I've got a couple sessions where you do progressive runs and building runs. So as you might nice and easy for 20 minutes, and then the last half an hour of the run is you progressively building up, that sort of stuff. So touching on those threshold intervals and long runs with faster finishes, all those sort of things can be added into. But again, so if you are on the intermediate to advanced, you'd be doing 1 to 2, and then but also the more experience and the longer you go, you could be doing 3 of these sort of sessions per week. But you just got to be mindful of not running too hard and touching into zone 4 and 5. You want to don't skip your easy runs, or you could just be running. You could be spending too much time in zone 3 by doing every run in zone 3, where you should be doing zone 2 runs, but you're actually pushing to zone 3. I see that a lot, and that can be quite common, where you say an easy run and then you look at the heart rate, or I might be running with people and I know they're not they might not be as quick as me overall, but it's supposed to be, for me it's really easy, but they're pushing the pace and going ahead of me, or running with me when they should be obviously dropping back a little bit, because it is meant to be an easy run. Fair enough if it's meant to be, they're using that as a bit of their zone 3 training, but I do see it a lot when I see other people running, where they're like, well, if it's an easy run, it should be running at their zone 2, not zone 3. So that's quite easily done. You can easily get caught away, but again, sometimes you just go with it because you want to run with the group, and that's fine, but you just got to be mindful that you are working that around your plan and not doing every run in zone 3. Again, you want to be doing those longer sessions and pushing out. The good session for me in the zone 3 was on the weekend, on the Saturday, where I definitely wasn't working in zone 2, or was working in zone 3 and just working at a longer period of time, which was not all the entire time, but most of the time was in that 2 hours and a half I was working in that zone 3. So and that's where I find I get a lot of gains from when I do my long runs. I sort of work on those sort of aspects as well. So improving your anaerobic endurance for your long races, bridging the gap between your easy runs and your high intensity runs as well, and builds your resilience for raced efforts and tempo's pace, so you're getting used to that sort of effort and being used to holding it for a long period of time. But the more you do it, the more you practice it, the easier it gets, and the more efficient you get, the more effective it is. If you're training in your right zones, it's your gap bridges that gap. So your slower paces will actually get faster, but your heart rates will still be low. You got the math method, and Phil Methotone has done a lot of research over the years, which is sort of, a lot of people have sort of gone away from that as well, but that's more so less too because we don't have the time to train like that too much as well, because every single run will be very slow and you'll be walking. It takes a lot of time. So depending, again, if you've got a race that's 16 weeks away, this is the sort of perfect time to sort of practice that sort of method and start to training your zones. If you're only about 8 weeks away, then you just need to be making sure you're more specific with staying in those zone 2s and using the zone 3s, 4s periodically in your training as well. So if you do have a longer build, then it's obviously a perfect time to start training, and you've got time to train your system a lot more effectively and better as well. But please reach out if you have any questions. Hope I explained most of that okay over this podcast, but again, reach out if you have more questions. Alright, well, that's going to be a wrap for the session, guys. So thanks for joining for Beve with Ben. Stay tuned for more updates. Post your questions and updates on racing, stroke limits coaching. Remember to stick to the 3 mantras of desire, determination, discipline. Thanks very much.